Welcome to lesson 19, problem 5, where all four problems within problem 5, A, B, C, and D, are all light bulbs. So be ready. Okay, so I'm going to start with A, and I'm going to rewrite it in standard form. So even though we could multiply it all out, my recommendation is you just leave it as 5 minus k, where the squared term comes first, then minus 18 times 5 minus k, and then we have a plus 81. I call this a quadratic trinomial in disguise, and it's still a quadratic trinomial, but we have to recognize that it's really an AM problem. We're trying to add to negative 18 and multiply to 81. The two numbers that work there are going to be negative 9 and negative 9. So now, instead of putting an x in the first position like we normally do, we have the quantity 5 minus k minus 9 and the quantity 5 minus k minus 9, because negative 9 times negative 9 gives you 81, adds up to negative 18. It's also, by the way, though, a perfect square trinomial. So what we're going to do next is we're going to say, all right, we now have the 5 and the negative 9 can go together. So we basically have negative 4 minus k, and then the other parentheses would have a negative 4 minus k. So if you wanted to, you could just write it as negative 4 minus k, the quantity squared. Okay, and that's because we knew it was a perfect square trinomial. Okay, let's go to B. For B, we are basically looking for the two numbers that add to 9 and multiply to 18. So that would be 6 and 3. It's again a quadratic in disguise, even though it's not really a quadratic equation, but it's going to have the same qualities. In other words, we can factor it by simply saying x to the 1/2 plus 6 times x to the 1/2 plus 3. Based on our exponent rules, we know that if we were to multiply it out, we'd get x to the first plus 3 times x to the 1/2 plus 6 times x to the 1/2, which gives us 9 times x to the 1/2 plus 18. So that's our final answer. Okay, let's look at C. So once again, it's a quadratic, looks just like our trinomials. It's really an AM problem in disguise. So what we're going to do is here, we're going to say R, and we're going to put an R here. The two numbers that add to 9 and multiply to 14 are 7 and 2. And the only thing we have to do here is say R to the 6x plus 7 and R to the 6x plus 2. Because if you were to multiply, well, I'll let you multiply it out. You know it. So that would be the factored form. All right, let's go to the next one. Once again, it's a quadratic, or, kind of like a trinomial that with an AM in disguise. So we're going to add to negative 9, multiply to positive 20. The two numbers that work are negative 5 and negative 4. So once again, I'm going to start with the negative 5 and the negative 4. And the only thing I have to do here is put x to the 1/4 and x to the 1/4. You can multiply it out and see that it works, but it's really an AM problem. Great job.